As a feeler, someone who feels their emotions strongly, and to me, years ago I learned that emotions for me and my experience of emotions are software programs that flow through my DNA, through my body. And I am with David Icke on this perception that emotions are software programs that flow through the body. And my emotions could potentially be carried through my DNA and my genes. So my ability to feel these emotions comes from an intergenerational passed down through my lifetime, through the lives of my genetic ancestors, which also ties me energetically to them, so that the ancestral feeling comes through me, and therefore as it comes through me, the software programs run all through my ancestral DNA, that of the avatar, not myself, not my spirit. As those emotions are tied to the genetic makeup and the DNA of my vessel, my vehicle, my avatar, therefore I can feel the emotional content and the emotions of ancestors flowing through me, and my own emotions as well. And then for me, it comes down to a point where I have to discern in my perception what emotions are mine and what emotions are being carried through my DNA like an antennae. What has been stored in my DNA from my parents who created this avatar, and their parents and their parents and their parents, so also through my siblings as well, in regards to my sisters who have, my genes and I have their genes on many levels, in many ways. The question then for me becomes, what am I feeling? Am I feeling the emotions that are mine, or my sisters, or emotions that belong to my ancestors? And this is a level of discernment I'm having in this moment in January 2024, as I'm processing my grief around a connection that came to an end a few days ago. A very intense connection, a very easy connection in many ways, with somebody that reflected back at me the work that I had done on many levels, but also reflected back at me what I had gone through, and what she had gone through, I reflected back at her. But we had a beautiful connection in the way that there was a sense of ease around our connection. And that connection ended abruptly in a way that I did not see coming. And a couple of days ago, I began to feel the stirring of emotion coming up in my body. And that emotion I am still processing, the feeling of sadness and grief around this connection and the way that it ended. And it's triggered me, and I feel it's triggered me also to feel emotions that have come through from my ancestors as well around grief. And I know in my body, because I can feel the emotional processes, the running programs, the software programs of a deep grief that runs through my body. And in 2020, I was given a pretty loud, clear message during a shamanic dream. Would you like to carry and heal the ancestral trauma of all your ancestors? I mean, in regards to the avatar, not necessarily the soul. Very different experiences, very different experiences, and very different things. Looking for the right word there. So I said, yes, I'll carry this ancestral trauma and pain, and I will heal it. I made that call. And then someone said to me not long ago, about a month ago, said to me, you don't have to carry this. You don't have to do this. This is a burden that you've chosen. I respect that choice that you've made in regards to healing your ancestral trauma, but you don't have to carry this. It's not yours to carry. But I made that choice in 2020. I've been working through this process for now since almost 4 years. Be 4 years in February, March. And it's been tough to be able to discern what I feel in that moment, which is mine, in regards to my own personal trauma, my own personal feeling, my own personal software programs running through a state of what I've experienced in the last few years, days, months, weeks, seconds, whether that trauma, that experience, those emotions are actually mine, or they're coming from a different, deeper level of emotional content through the avatar, through the DNA, through the genealogy of my ancestors of this avatar. Because on a soul level, I'm not sure. I've got no answers to this. There are people who are way more attuned to this energy and this understanding that on a soul level, what you experience in a lifetime previous to the one you're in, or consecutive, you look at lifetimes happening all at the same time, simultaneously, as your super consciousness occupies different avatars on different levels of existence, which in turn is the universe, the multiverse, source energy, first cause experiencing itself in multiple levels of existence all at once, just to experience what it's like to be in a body, in a tree, in an insect, in a being that's non-human. Whether your super consciousness occupies all of those realms of life simultaneously, as well as being in a human avatar, a man, a woman, right? That's pretty esoteric and pretty deep, but you get the gist. So the soul, I'm not sure whether the soul carries through the emotional content of a lifetime. And when I have left my body behind and died, a couple of times I've left my body behind, have had out-of-body experiences where my body just dissolved pretty much, and I was no longer in a body. When I've had those experiences, I have had no emotional content at all in regards to the software programs running. All I felt is this deep sense of acceptance, sense of love and being seen and held in a container. That being for me the ocean, an ocean of consciousness, where all the human attributes of the software programs no longer ran for me, and I was just completely accepted, seen and heard, and held in a container of deep love, which I can't put into words. So therefore, for me, I feel as though these experiences I'm having now, what I'm feeling right now, the grief that I'm experiencing now, is the software programs, but I need to discern whether these are compounding behind my own grief around the end of this connection I have with this beautiful woman, and me moving forward in my lifetime, and understanding that perhaps, potentially, in this lifetime, I'm destined to be alone from now on and do my work alone. I'm not adverse to being in a connection with somebody that allows me to, and I allow her to work. We do the work together and we process together, and a lot of that work happened for us, for me and Alia. We were together, we had a lot of processing, a lot of work to do together, and we did a lot of work together, and we inspired each other to do that work in that short period of time we were together, and it was super intense. But it showed me that which I was available for, how much work I'd done up until that moment to become the man that I became in that moment, in that time together with her. I still have a lot more work to do. Baba Ram Dass talks about your sadhana, your work, your spiritual work, being in relationship to people, whether it be family members, friends, yourself, loved ones, marriages. I totally see that. That is a spiritual practice, and then of course you can take that and interpret that and make everything a spiritual practice if you choose to. Like for me, for example, everything I'm doing, making this video for me is a spiritual practice. Meditating over here on this grass, on this tree here at Bush Reserve, Bush, B-U-S, Bush Reserve in Aniseed Valley, in near Nelson, near Hope, I should say. Is a form of spiritual work for me. So it's interesting for me now looking at the situation and discerning my grief, what grief is coming through here, and whether it's the compounding grief of many ancestors whose genealogy is awakened in me due to my spiritual practices and my conscious awareness that wants to be healed, that's coming in behind my own grief and compounding that grief, and I'm feeling that grief. There was a day when Alia did some cleansing work on me. She's a curandera. She did some cleansing work on me, and when she was working on me, she said, "Where is all this grief coming from that you're carrying? Where's all this grief come from?" And I really feel as though my own grief about my own life existence in this avatar, I feel as though on many levels of that grief, and it drops down, for me in my experience, that grief drops down to many layers, many strata, from childhood trauma to the present moment grief in regards to my life changing so rapidly and quickly in 2024, in 2023, due to the fact that I'm being basically thrown out of my apartment in Wellington in New Zealand by my landlords, and it's got ugly. And the grief of 20 years of my life being in one place and knowing that my time in that particular location in Wellington and Wellington itself is over, fully over. It was supposed to be over for me last year. It's over now. It's done. I'm moving on to I don't know where. The grief of that 20 years of my life, saying farewell to it, and to all the people that are in Wellington that I've connected with over the years and the experiences that I've had there. The grief of saying goodbye, once again, this time in a very deep way. For years I travelled for a long time, almost 7 years, and all around New Zealand for almost 4 years as well. I said goodbye to so many people in that 4 years, so many people in that 7 years, and now 20 years of life living in one place, and I have a grief of saying goodbye to all these experiences and people that I've connected with in those ways, and those memories that I've created in that place. Sure, that could be compounding behind my own grief now that I feel towards what happened with me and Alia. But I'm still questioning. I'm still questioning and wondering if that grief comes from my ancestral DNA, genealogy, is carried through and is now looking to be held, healed, and the wounds to be not cauterized, but healed. In this moment, as I fully feel into this deep sense of grief and sadness that's come over me the last few days, as I've stopped moving. It's one of the big things too. I was travelling a lot around the South Island, Tiwai Pounamu, with Alia for 7 days. We travelled a lot. I did a lot of driving, travelled a lot of places, saw a lot of things, moved around a lot, and then to come up to Hope here on the other side of the Aniseed Valley where my sister lives, and just drop and stop. The real processing and integration experience has began for me and has begun for me, and this is my process now of integration, feeling into what I feel and letting it go. Not being over analytical, but being aware of where this feeling comes from. And this, as I said at the very beginning of this video, the wheels of the software program runs, and where the memories are attached to that software program, instances, experiences are attached to that software program as it runs through me, is up for debate. I've got more questions than I have answers, but this is my process. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mā te ua. I'll see you again soon.